All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Friday. It is October 17th. This is your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson, and this is All in Horns and the Texas Longhorns traveling to Lexington, Kentucky to take on the Kentucky Wildcats. And Jake mentioned it earlier this week, but first time Texas has traveled to the state of Kentucky in football since the 1950s, where they lost to the Louisville Cardinals way back in the day. So not a very familiar territory for the Texas Longhorns. But Jake and I will talk about how we think that this game is going to go down, also the predictions and what we think need to happen for Texas to have success against this Kentucky Wildcat team. And then we'll also go through the slate of college football games in week 8 and make our picks and predictions there as well. So, Jake, kind of first things that stick out to you with this Kentucky team in terms of the Longhorns needing to have success and the keys, if you will. I'm putting the keys in your hands, and you need to drive us to victory.
I think it's pretty straightforward. They just need to make sure they don't get out physical because they can't come out kind of riding high from that Oklahoma game. I think it being a night game hopefully helps versus it being maybe like 11 a.m. kickoff where you can come out kind of sleepwalking. You have all day to kind of get ready. I'm sure the crowd will show up for Kentucky. But Kentucky is kind of the same team they always are, kind of like we've talked about throughout this week. Just they're kind of a hard-nosed team. They can hang in there with better teams that are better than them, and they're typically good for an upset or two a year. And if you're Texas, you got to avoid being that because they got to have that backs against the wall mentality every week. The OU game was a great step forward, but it doesn't really matter if you drop to Kentucky the next week. Because I think that 12.5 point spread's a lot for this game, just because Kentucky's going to hang in. I don't think Texas is just going to run away with this game from the first quarter on. And I've actually seen from a lot of the just like seeing fans predict scores and stuff on message boards, social media, stuff like that. I've seen a lot of like 24-13s, 24-10, 21-10, those types of scores. So I think a lot of people have fairly realistic expectations going into this game because I think that's probably around where I'm going to fall on my final prediction because I think Texas should win this game, but you just worry about them kind of coming out and sleepwalking. You don't want to get down early. The defense needs to come out and dominate this game. Kentucky shouldn't be able to score against this defense, and that's kind of the key to me is the defense has got to continue to dominate. They look great against OU. That's awesome. They need to continue to show that Florida game was a complete outlier, not something we're going to see creep back because that was the worst defensive performance we've seen by Texas in quite some time.
Yeah, Mark Stoops is, and they're coming off of a bye week as well. 6-10, coming off of bye weeks since his time at Kentucky. I was trying to find what his record is at home night games because it feels like they do play better, but they also are a team that like they'll play teams until to about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Then all of a sudden you look up and they're down 14 and the game's out of reach. And it's,
yeah, or play them tight, for the first quarter, 3 quarters, and then kind of falls apart at the end. But they typically play teams pretty tight to start the game for a while.
And the fact that Texas fans are kind of recognizing that, kudos to Texas. I think a lot of people know where this team is. I think some buying maybe too much into the OU hype, but I do think that is such a great building block of now your guys know what it's supposed to feel like whenever you're out there dictating the game and you're not letting the game dictate how you're playing. And you're not trying to force the issue. I think a lot of things came together just in terms of that feeling of what this team is supposed to feel like whenever all systems are going. And so I think they're going to try to find that. They're going to try to look for it. I hope they don't press too much. I hope one thing that Sark said in his press conference leading into this game earlier this week, and we'll get into the injury report as well, as that was also released. But and some pretty big news on that injury report. But one thing that Sark said about Arch Manning's performance that stood out to me was whenever he's feeling the pressure, he's not looking at the pressure in that Oklahoma game. He's not looking at the defender in the pass rush coming at him. His eyes are down the field, and he's feeling it and avoiding it, and getting into the open space and then delivering the throws that he needs to throw because his eyes are down the field and he's still reading the defense and he's seeing what corners and the coverage is doing and his receivers coming open. And he said that's a huge part of where his struggles were coming in the first half of the season was when pressure was coming, he was looking at the defensive lineman. He's looking at where the pressure was coming from instead of keeping his eyes down the field. And so just maybe getting out of that bad habit, because he's going to have some pressure in this game too, Jake. That's just going to be inevitable. Now, depending on the sack numbers or whatever, I don't know what those are going to look like, but he is going to get pressured from this front seven of Kentucky.
Yeah, I will say this is a game where I'd love to see the offensive line keep him more clean, see a lot less pressures than we've seen, because people, the OU game was a better game by the offensive line. There's still 25 pressures in that game. Arch Manning just does a really good job of avoiding pressure. And that, that's something that's an area we talked about going into the year. We were confident Arch would be an improvement upon, Quinn Ewers, and he has been.
Yeah.
There's been areas that have been not as good as what Quinn Ewers did. It's kind of been just a give and take, but being able to avoid pressure, use his legs to extend plays, to get out of sacks, that's definitely been a big plus for Arch Manning. And it's a good thing because it's really been needed. If he was just a statue in the pocket, kind of, kind of self-sacking, there'd be about triple the amount of sacks this year.
Quick question. If Quinn was the quarterback of this year's team with this offensive line, does the offense look that much different?
They probably win Ohio State. They definitely win Ohio State because the pass pro was good in that game. They still lose the Florida game. They still win the OU game, so they have one less loss. Okay. But I don't think that they look drastically different. It's just the barrier to win that Ohio State game was pretty low.
And I will say probably the San Jose, the UTEP, those games much more out of reach and probably not as close. Because
UTEP especially. San Jose State was kind of
UTEP more than any of them. Right.
Yeah, UTEP would be the game that'd be more different than any of them. But I think they probably win the Ohio State game just with how the pass pro was in that game. But Ohio State probably plays differently. Everything kind of changes. But with the pressure that Florida and OU, I think they probably score less against OU offensively. And I'm just saying that because those 25 pressures, there's going to be a lot more than one sack.
Sure.
With Quinn Ewers back there.
Absolutely. I mean, that third down play on your own goal line when it's completed to Parker Livingstone is not completed to Parker Livingstone.
Yeah. There's a lot of plays where Arch extended to make the play and convert on third down. A lot of them on
third down. That was something else that Sark said. Our third down, it was, I think he said Parker had 2 third down conversions. I think DeAndre Moore had a couple of them. I think Wisner ran for a couple of them. Injuries, I think, caught one. And he said just the majority, Ryan Wingo, I think, had 1 or 2 third down conversions for this team. And so it's just like the amount of different bodies that came up big and converted and extended drives for this team is one of the many recipes for success moving forward, is getting different guys the ball. And he said he called straight out. He said, we need to get Jack more involved and we need to get Emmett Mosley more involved in the offense, in the passing game. And, just calling those two out, saying, we need to find the ball to those guys is music to my ears, because I think that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to. And I was expecting more coming out of this season was being able to spread the ball around, just having so many different weapons, but not one superstar, except I was expecting Ryan Wingo to kind of step into that superstar range. But I think you also have the ability of there's no reason for DeAndre Moore not to have 5 catches, for Emmett Mosley not to have 3 catches, for injuries not to have 4 catches, Wingo to have 6 or 7 catches. And I know that, you're starting to add up the amount of throws that Arch is putting up there, but you just have that kind of talent, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, not only that type of talent, but they just with Arch Manning going to wide receivers more as well. I mean, it's definitely been a more wide receiver centric passing
For
game
sure. Yeah.
already. But you still we started to see him check it down to Wisner a little bit more. Those were some big plays. I thought he did a much better job of checking down. He had a nice check down to Andres as well. But yeah, they just need to continue to work on getting a wider spread. Mosley's just now getting integrated in the offense. Still a lot of season left to kind of figure that out. And Sark is kind of saying the right things there. Now you kind of got to just see it play out in the field. Another thing Sark said that was interesting to me, and I'll be curious to see if we could get him any playing time this week or in incoming weeks, is Michael Terry is completely converted to running back. He played some running back in high school. He's certainly capable. And
I'm curious if that was a result of Jarrett Gibson leaving or a cause for Jarrett Gibson leaving.
I'd say it's probably a decision after Jarrett Gibson announced he was leaving. I wouldn't be surprised if they were already tossing around the idea. They probably already had an idea Gibson was not going to be around at the very minimum after this season.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if the idea was already getting tossed around. Also, Ricky Stewart, one of their freshman running backs, he's been dealing with a concussion apparently for a few weeks. And then he also had to leave campus for a family emergency. I saw it reported by, but he's expected back after everything's taken care of. So hopefully everything's all right there. But yeah, they're very thin in the running back room. So I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Terry gets a random carry or two, especially if they can get a big lead in this game. We'll definitely see him because they're gonna have to. It'd be nice to get a big lead in this game so you could bubble wrap Trey Wisner. Because you need to keep his mileage as low as possible, because who knows when Baxter's coming back at this point and if he'll stay healthy when he comes back. And after that, James Simon's been your next best looking running back.
Yeah, Jake, here's the injury report. Now, Kentucky having a lot more injuries in terms of mass than the Texas Longhorns. Aaron Butler, who we haven't really seen a whole lot from him. Jonathan Cunningham also have not seen a lot from him, but who is going to be out for sure? Cole Hudson, your starting center, who has been fairly reliable. Now his play has been consistent, but at least he's been out there playing. And so we're going to get a full dose of Robertson at the center position. And then also Connor Stroh, what will be your backup left guard, is questionable. Phil Simi he's kind of been living at this questionable stage all season long. There's some weeks he's good. There's some weeks he's bad. The one that really stands out, though, on questionable that I would like to see play if he can is Murad Watson. That's going to be the big one on that questionable list. And then you're doubtful, obviously, CJ Baxter. We're just going to go ahead and call him out. If you're doubtful, you're not playing.
Yeah, and you're not going to play him against Kentucky. You got to be able to win the game without him. You can't risk re-injury to him. You're going to need CJ Baxter as the season gets deeper. And you can't just stack all the mileage on Trey Wisner again, or he's going to start to run down by the end of the year. So hopefully CJ Baxter can start to get. I know he practiced some this week, so that is at least good. But I don't think he was full go. Obviously, the big name on this list, though, is Cole Hudson being out. You're going to be bringing in Connor Robertson at center with Daniel Cruz being the backup. And we're going to get to see if Robertson maybe has a little more to offer than Hudson. I don't think he does based off the limited time I've seen him in this year. But we'll see if he can, at least step in and have a good game, because Hudson has struggled at center. So I don't think it's impossible that, if Robertson plays really well, if Hudson's out, because supposedly what I was reading on kind of some Texas websites was this isn't a 1 week thing. Cole Hudson's going to be out possibly until the bye week.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a multi-week deal. And so Connor Robertson's got to step up big time over these next 3 weeks at the very least And at the best, maybe he looks so good that he can't get off the field even when Cole Hudson comes back. Because Hudson's definitely been outside of left guard, which I think is now solidified the weak link of this offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like, if Cole Hudson can't return because Robertson's outplayed him to that point because of the injury, it's not like boo-hoo is me. I'm not going to necessarily feel too bad about it. I just want the best starting 5 offensive linemen out there. Hey, Jake, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll give everybody what our all-in horns underdog entry of the week is when we come back. Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code HORNS to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code HORNS. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks. Win money. Must be 18 and up. 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games. 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. All right, Jake. The picks are in, and our entry is live on All In Horns. You're going to scratch out Puka Nacua. Obviously, he has the injury. He is not playing this week. This entry was created before that for the week. But here's what I'll do. If you're somebody who's just now tuning in and you want to ride with us, scratch out Puka Nacua, replace him with Devontae Adams. Boom, I'm good. I'm just as confident now that Devontae Adams will get a fair share of the Puka Nacua targets. And so Devontae Adams, higher than half a receiving touchdown. And then my other pick for this half of the entry, the freshman Malachi Toney out of Miami, playing Friday night tonight. By the way, tune in, Miami and Louisville. Make sure that Malachi Toney, you got to root for 70 yards receiving minimum for the freshman.
I'd be curious to see what the yardage is for Jordan Whittington, just to throw a Texas name out there.
There you go.
That maybe could be a guy that gets a little increased playing time and opportunities with Puka Nacua out. I threw some Texas love in here with Xavier Worthy going higher than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. Feel like he's really starting to come along in that Chiefs offense now that he's healthy. And then Jeremiah Love, I love this bet or this entry to go higher than half a rushing or receiving touchdown against a USC defense that I think is still pretty highly suspect. So I imagine this is the game. It's a big game, nationally broadcast game. You feel like Love is due for some type of explosive long touchdown play.
No, I agree. All right, Jake, let's go ahead and dive into our predictions for this week. Do you want to go ahead and give a quick key to victory for Texas and maybe a player prediction, and then we'll go and give our picks for the Texas-Kentucky game, and then we'll wrap up the show with the rest of the Week 8 picks going around the country.
Yeah, I want to see Texas have a really good game running the football. Kentucky doesn't have a great rushing defense. And I think they can run the ball better than they did against Oklahoma, because while they ran the ball good against Oklahoma, they still had like 6 or 7 negative run plays or something like that, or maybe it was less than 2-yard run plays and a handful of negative ones as well. So there was still some very unsuccessful running plays. I'd really like to see them have a consistent running game along with a couple explosives in this game. So my key is just going to be, just kind of I guess, winning the line of scrimmage, but also just having a successful run game throughout the game from quarter 1 to quarter 4.
Yeah, I think the key to victory obviously is, I mean, it's going to be the defense for me. As long as they're going to prevent Kentucky from scoring, I know that isn't like the big, fun, glaring matchup that everybody wants to see and talk about. Obviously, you want to talk about the offensive line. Obviously, you want to see if Arch Manning is going to get things going, if the running game is going to get things going, all offensive storylines. For me, this team, their identity and their success comes from their defense. If they're going to prevent Kentucky from getting into the end zone, or it's going to be, Kentucky getting 6 points or 9 points or, 7 points, it doesn't mean that this offense needs to do a whole lot. But this team can fully rely on Texas's defense, putting that kind of performance on and putting it on pretty consistently for the remainder of the year, especially a team like Kentucky. So need the defense to hold them under 10 points, hold them under 2 scores, whatever that looks like. They're more than capable of doing that against a Kentucky team like this. We've seen it happen before. And so, as long as this Texas defense holds Kentucky under 14 points, I think Texas gets a win, So that's to me, that's going to be key, is as long as the defense can hold their own and prove to be the identity of this football team, Texas will find success.
Yeah, and no turnovers.
Yeah.
That actually might be the number one key.
Yeah.
The road game, don't let the crowd get in it. Give them a pick early or a fumble. Take care of the football. If you have some struggles early, just at least take care of the football and find your groove at some point.
All right, Jake, Texas is 13.5-point favorites in this game. Over under set at 44.5.
Wow. I did not think it would move that way.
Yeah.
I thought it would move the other way.
No, it has moved in Texas's favor.
That's a lot of points.
13.5 is a lot of points. Yeah.
I mean, are we predicting Texas first?
Yep. Let's go into it.
I think Texas is going to win something like 24-10, 24-13. I think that point spread's probably just about right.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to touch it because I don't really touch Texas games. So I'll say 24-10 and Texas covers, but that tells you I'm not that confident in them covering just because that's right at the point spread. I have a hard time seeing them just going out there. I would love to see like a 31-10, 31-13 game. If they win by that margin, I'm going to be feeling really good about this team. I just feel like it's going to be an ugly game. I just do. You got, God forbid us have any type of continuity at offensive line this year. Hudson didn't even get hurt against OU, by the way. He got hurt Tuesday in practice.
Mm-hmm.
I think he got rolled up on. So I don't know exactly what the injury is, but obviously severe enough for him to already be listed as out.
If it's a few weeks out, then and he got rolled up on, I'm going to assume, again, this is all assumption, this is not fact based, some sort of ankle sprain or lower body strain. I could imagine that. Jake, I've got the exact same score prediction. I've got 24-10 in this one, and I felt 24-10 the moment Texas won against OU and I saw Kentucky was on the schedule next. I said, that's a 24-10 type game. And that's the score that's been locked in my brain ever since I saw Arch Manning wearing the golden hat. So I'm going to stick with it. Maybe it's a premonition. Maybe it's a curse. I don't know. But I just don't think this offense is I don't think we have the team this year that this offense is just going to be putting up a lot of points. Now, like you said, if they do, I'm going to be feeling much higher on this team moving forward in the season.
And maybe the defense provides some turnovers that get them in good field goal range and kind of can lead
special
to
teams. Ryan Niblett, maybe we get another good return, maybe not a return for a touchdown, but a return that gets them into positive field position. And so
just field the football consistently. Please.
Sure, that I'm not putting any money on that. But yeah, and that would also hit the under as well if anyone's curious in that game. So, all right, Jake, let's go and look at some of these other games around the country. Again, already mentioned Friday night, Louisville at number 2, Miami. That is tonight. Miami, 13.5-point favorite. So people are thinking that this Miami team is as good as Texas is over Kentucky against a 4-1 Louisville team who is always frisky, who's always kind of in the fight of things when it comes to ACC football. But Miami, 13.5-point favorites, over under set at 51.5.
Yeah, I think Miami. If this was at Louisville, I would
Sure.
feel a little bit differently. But with it being at Miami, Miami just feels like they're
They're
just
rolling.
way above the rest of the ACC. I'm going to keep picking Miami and Miami to cover until I'm proven otherwise at this point. I've kind of been rolling with Miami since pretty early in the season, just because I watched their play and go, this isn't last year's team. Like when you'd watch last year's Miami team, you'd be like, wow, this defense is bad, and it could lose them a game any given week. I don't think either side of their ball is even either side of the ball is even being close to a weakness right now, and their special teams doesn't look bad either. So give me Miami, give them to cover, and 51.5 is a lot. Probably take the
It's
under. I don't think
actually
Louisville's going to score much.
if it helps anything, it's now at 49.5.
Oh, I probably won't touch it then. At 51.5, I was going to say under. At 49.5, not touching it.
Yeah.
But I will take Miami and the points.
Yeah, Jake, I think you're right on just about everything. I think their run game is solid. Their defense is so much more improved than it was a year ago. This game is at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. They've got a crowd that's actually kind of pushing behind them for the first time in what feels like forever. So yeah, give me Miami in this one, and I'll take Miami with the points as well. All right, Jake. Let's talk number 10 LSU at number 17 Vandy. Vandy 2.5-point favorites over the LSU Tigers, 48.5-point over under. I really want to take Vandy to win this game outright. I'm going to do it. I think Vandy wins this game. I think it's going to be close. I actually think it's going to be low scoring. For anybody who thinks it's going to be high scoring, you just haven't watched LSU's defense. But I just don't think LSU's offense is capable of just blowing somebody out. So Vandy's going to be in this game regardless, one way or the other. I think Vandy's going to get it done this year. Beat LSU at home. Give me Vandy outright. 48.5. I'll go under.
I really want to pick Vandy because I still stand by not thinking LSU is a good team. I think this is a bad matchup for Vandy. I think LSU's defense is, ironically, they've had really good offenses and bad defenses. Now they have really good defense and a bad offense. Just the Brian Kelly program cycle. I think LSU wins this game outright. I probably will bet LSU money line on this for this weekend. I just see this game being LSU's defense dominating. I don't think Vanderbilt's defense is that good. And I think LSU's offense will do enough to win this game. I think this is a game where Nussmeier can kind of will them to the win. Because I just don't trust Vandy's defense. I trust LSU's defense, and I don't think Vandy's offense is going to be that explosive. I could see this almost kind of being maybe not quite as bad as the Bama game, but end up being around that type of score. I think it'll be a couple possession win.
Yeah, well, I just don't think LSU has the firepower offensively to make that happen, but I do think it could feel that type of game more so than anything, where it's kind of close, and then all of a sudden you look up and LSU is up by 10 points with a minute left, and you're like, oh, this game's over. So, Jake, you got number 12 Georgia Tech at Duke. This might be the best game Georgia Tech has left on their schedule aside from Georgia, but in conference play, this might be the hardest game Georgia Tech has left. And surprisingly enough, Duke favored over number 12 Georgia Tech at home, 2.5-point favorites with a 61.5-point over under.
Yeah, a lot of weird spreads this week, by the way. Way,
Jake, since you last had these entries in, Duke 1.5-point favorites over Georgia Tech now.
Okay. Yeah, I had updated this doc a couple days ago. I mean, I rode the Georgia Tech train going into the season. Honestly, they haven't looked as good as I thought that they would, even though they have a better record at this point than I picked them to have to this point. I didn't have Clemson being a terrible team on my bingo card. I'm going to take Georgia Tech to win. I think Georgia Tech's still a better team than Duke. But I imagine it's going to be a close game. Georgia Tech hasn't been able to just blow people out. And so that makes it kind of worrisome for them every week for me. But I'm going to take Georgia Tech to win. I'm hoping this is a game where they can really start to look like the team I expected them to. Because I think they're the only team who's going to get a crack at Miami and actually have maybe a chance to do something against them. But they got to start looking better to do that because still Miami just looks a step above everyone else.
Yeah, I'll take Georgia Tech to win this game outright.
No, I'm not touching that 61.5. By the way,
that's an insane number. That over
actually,
under.
I probably will touch it. I'll probably take the under.
I mean, it's at 60.5 now, so a 1 point difference. I'd still
probably
take the under.
That's a lot of points.
All right, Jake, Oklahoma at South Carolina. I think October is dead. Oklahoma is 5.5 point favorites on the road with a 43.5 point over under. John Mateer, second week back coming from his injury. But yeah, I think South Carolina's dead in the water. I think they suck this year, Jake. I just don't think they're very good. Give me Oklahoma to bounce back after a Red River shootout loss, and give me Oklahoma with the points as well.
Yeah, I'm not a believer. I wasn't a believer in South Carolina going into the season.
I was, and now I'm just completely 100% out.
And I still thought they would be much better than they've been, but everything I said I was worried about South Carolina, the worst case scenario of those have all happened, which was Lenore Sellers has no one to throw to. They don't have a good running game, and their offensive line isn't that good. And their defense isn't as good as it was last year. Yeah, I just don't think South Carolina is that good of a team. This feels like their last chance to have any type of magic this season. You feel like if they lose this game, the wheels will completely unravel. But yeah, I'm going to take OU to win. I'm going to take them to cover as well. Probably take the under, just because I don't think South Carolina is going to score that many points in this game. But I will take OU and the points.
All right, Jake, number 5, Ole Miss taking on number 9, Georgia in Athens. Georgia 7.5 point favorites as the lower ranked team. What's up?
That's a big line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've have it on my underdog entry as Ole Miss covering this game, and Georgia has not really blown anybody out, so I don't know really where this line's coming from. 54.5. I'm not touching it because I could see this game being really high scoring. I could see it being really low scoring. Ole Miss, however, coming off some struggles against lower tier opponents. Washington State a week ago, they won by 3. And then, Kentucky earlier at this season on the road, Team Texas is playing, only won by 7, 30-23. But full body of work, I still think Ole Miss is a better football team than what they showed against Washington State last week. And I think Georgia has shown struggles basically against everybody they've played against. They're still only a 1-loss team, but I don't think Ole Miss wins this game, but I do think they cover.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm definitely not. I mean, that's just more than a touchdown favorite against a very good Ole Miss team. I think it's kind of an overreaction to Ole Miss struggling against Washington State. Part of me wants to just pick Ole Miss outright. I'm not going to bet that though. If they're going to give me 7.5 points to play with Ole Miss, I'm going to go ahead and take that. I think Georgia probably wins. It's hard to see them losing 2 games at home this year. I kind of want Georgia to win because I don't want Texas having to be the 3rd team to beat them. I mean, Kirby Smart has like 4 losses at home in his career.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I'll take Ole Miss to cover. I think that more than likely Georgia ends up winning this ball game though.
All right, Jake. This one kind of a question up in the air for me anyway, because reports that I've heard, reports that you've heard, a little bit different. The spread, I would think, is pointing this way, but I don't know. Sam Levitt's questionable, but also
he is probable.
He's now probable, and is looks like he's aiming to play for the Arizona State Sun Devils. I know a lot of people were placing their bets earlier this week before the injury reports came out in thoughts that he wasn't going to play. But nonetheless, with that all being said, the current spread is Texas Tech 7.5-point favorites. The over-under on that game at 51.5. I could see this game going over, but Texas Tech's defense, it's just not the same Texas Tech team that you think you know, where their defense just allows a lot of points and their offense is just outscoring teams. Their defense is actually shutting teams down too. So I don't know, that 51.5, an intriguing number, even especially if Sam Levitt, even if he is playing, he's going to be banged up. But give me Texas Tech to win this game. Give me Texas Tech to cover this game as well. And I'll take the under. I'll take the under 51.
I don't think Tech's going to have a single competitive Big 12 game. I think their roster is just a million times better than any Big 12 roster. And I don't think it's close. I think they've won every game by at least 24 points. I think they probably continue that. I've already bet Texas Tech to cover in this game. And I don't think Arizona State's that good this year. But I also don't think anyone in the Big 12 is that good outside of Texas Tech. So give me Tech in the points.
All right, Jake,
probably the under as well.
Yeah, number 11, Tennessee. Number 6, Alabama. Alabama is 9.5-point favorites. Jake, what's your thoughts on this one?
Another big spread for a game that's two closely ranked teams. You feel like kind of Vegas and
Bama's now at 8.5.
Well, that makes it easy because even at 9.5, I was going to take Bama in the points. I don't think Tennessee is a very good defense, and I don't think their offense is good enough to just keep up with Alabama. I think Ty Simpson is probably playing like a Heisman right now for Alabama, so I think Alabama takes care of Tennessee, especially at home, fairly easily and gets revenge from last year's loss.
All right.
I do like the over. 58.
Yeah, I think points are coming in this game. 59.5, that's a big number, but I think that's entirely reachable for these two teams. Yeah, I'll take Bama in the points. I could see it late in the game where they just, they get a stop and then they get another touchdown or a pick six. Something kind of just blows this game open to where it's close for the majority of the game. But for whatever reason, the final score is Bama by 2 possessions. All right, Jake, USC at Notre Dame. This is a big one. We are diehard USC fans this week because we're just tired of Notre Dame shit. Notre Dame, 9.5-point favorites. Over under set at 60.5. Which
it was 61.5.
I say that in agreement with the line. Like, that's just a big number that I agree with going into this game. I'm taking USC to at least cover. I don't know if they win, Jake, but I will take them to cover the 9.5-point spread.
Yeah, I mean, if Notre Dame's defense has been weird this year. They'll look just terrible one week. They'll look good the next week. Part of that may be competition. I think this is going to be a really high-scoring game. I actually like the over in this game. Not even just like that's a big number, let's chase it. I have a hard time seeing this being low-scoring.
Yeah.
I'll take USC to cover. That's a lot of points. I want to pick USC outright, but I think Notre Dame probably wins in some stupid way. And I can't get it out of my head that Notre Dame just finds a way to get 1 or 2 more stops than USC, and I think that's the type of game this will be. So yeah, I'll take USC to cover, but I do think Notre Dame wins.
When it comes to a offensive battle, USC, they have the leading passer, rusher, and receiver in this game. Just putting that out there. This spread is weird to me. Auburn spreads have been strange to me all year long, but Mizzou
I've been banking off of it.
Yeah, Mizzou at Auburn. Mizzou 1.5-point favorites on the road against Auburn. Auburn, again, we just don't think is a very good team this year. Missouri, I think, is a very solid team. I'm not going to say they're great. I'm not going to say they're elite. I think they're a solid team. I mean, again, they lost to Bama by like 3 points, and they
And
for
would have
whatever
won that game if their offensive coordinator had a brain.
they just pretend as though they had the worst offense in the league, and they were down by like 3 possessions. Either way, over under set at 43.5, Jake. I have a feeling I know where you're going with this one.
Yeah, I've already placed a bet on Missouri to win this game. I've placed 2 bets so far early in the week. One was Texas Tech. The other was Missouri because I wanted to get them before I thought those lines would probably move. So yeah, give me Missouri. Give me the points. It's at home, so Auburn will probably be competitive for a while, but I just see Missouri pulling away at the end of the day.
I also have Missouri covering this game and winning this game, but I will have them cover that 1.5 point spread. I'll take the under 43.5. I can feel fairly confident with that. Okay, Jake, Utah at BYU. I'm just going to let you take the floor on this one.
Yeah, this is my battle of the overrateds. I think both these teams stink. I don't know why Utah's ranked right now. They've played one good team and they got throttled at home by a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
It's just like giving a little charity to the Big 12 to even have them ranked. And BYU, they should be ranked because they're undefeated, but why are they 15? Like, why are they ahead of Missouri? Like,
yeah, well,
the best team BYU has played, Colorado?
Yeah.
And they won by 3? And Colorado stinks? Deion Sanders might get fired? Like, Colorado's 3-4. BYU's played nobody. East Carolina might actually be the best team they played.
Go Purple Pirates.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're counting West Virginia as a good team just because they beat Pitt while West Virginia's sitting at 2-4.
Well, Jake, their quarterback is number 47. I mean, that's horrendous, egregious, treasonous. Get him out of there.
Yeah, only BYU, man. I don't know.
I'm taking Utah in this game for the simple fact that their quarterback is number 47.
I'm going to watch this game because I'm pretty sure it's a late night game, and Utah's fun to watch games at, especially when it's night games.
Yeah, well, it's at BYU, but I know what you mean.
Oh, it's at BYU. Okay, BYU is fun as well at night games at home.
I thought it was at
Utah.
It's the same type of fans.
I don't know. I guess I'll take BYU to cover. It's at home. I kind of hope Utah wins this game just so BYU drops. They'll probably move up to number 2 if they win based off where they have them now. Because they'll actually have a quality win. But yeah, this is my game of the overrateds for the week. I don't think either of these teams are good. I don't think either of them are close to top 25 teams. This is just the AP poll charity.
That's going to do it for today's episode. That's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson, and that is our Week 8 picks and predictions. Texas Longhorns taking on the Kentucky Wildcats. We both have victories of 24-10 for the Texas Longhorns over the Wildcats of Kentucky. That's Jake Jimerson, and I'm Tanner Carlson. As always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.